Significant weather developing across eastern Australia, a tropical low forming in the Coral Sea, severe thunderstorms on the horizon, heavy rainfall already impacting central Queensland. This is a system worth paying close attention to. Right now, conditions across Queensland are telling us exactly where this is heading. Central Queensland S been copping it. Claremont recorded their highest rainfall since 1916. That S over a century of records broken. Bartaldine finally saw 50 millimetres overnight after months of waiting. Up at Mount Carbine in far north Queensland, steady heavy rain through the night, 27 degrees at 9:30 in the morning with 95% humidity. The Calliope River S at moderate flooding. Gladstone recorded 79 millimetres in gauges overnight. Compare that to Brisbane. Clouds. More clouds, but bugger all rain. People sitting under overcast skies watching the rain fall everywhere else. The Gold Coast saw a few showers this morning, nothing substantial. Meanwhile, the rest of Queensland S getting drenched. That contrast matters because what S happening now sets up what S coming next. I've examined the latest data from the Bureau of Meteorology, the satellite imagery, the model outputs from Access, GFS and the European model. Sea surface temperatures across the Coral Sea, upper level wind patterns, moisture availability. And what we're re-looking at is a developing tropical low that has the potential to bring widespread heavy rain, severe thunderstorms and significant flooding to parts of Queensland and northern New South Wales over the coming days. Let me break down exactly what is happening meteorologically, then we'll get into the regional impacts and what you need to prepare for. The monsoon trough is active across northern Australia, that S normal for this time of year. What S not normal is how far south the moisture is pushing. We've got a surface trough extending from the Gulf of Carpentaria right down through inland Queensland. Meanwhile, out in the Coral Sea, we are seeing the early stages of tropical development. Sea surface temperatures across the Coral Sea are sitting between 28 and 29 degrees Celsius. That S plenty warm enough to support tropical cyclone development. We were not there yet. But the potential exists. The tropical low that S forming is currently disorganised, no defined centre of circulation, just a broad area of low pressure with embedded thunderstorms. The Access model is showing this system intensifying over the next 48 to 72 hours. The European model agrees. The GFS is slightly more aggressive with the timing. Here S, where it gets interesting. The steering currents aren't strong. This system isn't going to race across the coastline and disappear inland. It's going to meander, drift west-northwest, possibly make landfall somewhere between Mackay and Bundaberg. And when a slow-moving tropical system comes ashore over Queensland, you get persistent heavy rainfall. Upper level divergence is favourable for development. Wind shear is moderate. Not ideal for rapid intensification, but not hostile either. What this means practically is we re-looking at a system that will strengthen gradually rather than explosively. The Bureau of Meteorology hasn't issued a tropical cyclone watch yet. That could change. Right now, it's classified as a tropical low, but the ingredients are there for further development. Keep an eye on bomb updates over the next 24 hours. Now, let's talk about what this means for different regions. Because the impacts want to be uniform, some areas are going to see significant rainfall, others not so much. Far north Queensland, you're already dealing with it. From Cairns up to Cape York, rain has been persistent, not extreme, but steady. That continues through tonight and tomorrow. Rainfall totals of 50 to 100 millimetres are likely across coastal and elevated areas. The tropical low won't directly impact you, but the broader moisture feed keeps the rain coming. If you're in low-lying areas prone to flash flooding, stay alert. The ground's already saturated from recent rain. It doesn't take much additional rainfall to cause problems when the soil can't absorb any more. North Queensland, particularly the coast between Townsville and Mackay, this is where things get more serious. Current modelling suggests the tropical low will approach this region Wednesday into Thursday. When it does, we're talking about the potential for very heavy rainfall. 200 to 300 millimetres over a 48-hour period is possible. Some areas could see more if thunderstorms train over the same locations repeatedly. Rivers across this region are already running high from recent rainfall. The Burdekin, the Don, the Pioneer. Additional heavy rain will push these systems towards flood levels. The Bureau will issue flood watches as the situation develops. Don T, wait for the warning. If you in a flood-prone area, start preparing now. Central Queensland, you getting the first taste of this moisture. Claremont S record-breaking rainfall is just the beginning. As the tropical low drifts closer to the coast, the rain becomes more widespread and intense. Expect another 100 to 200 millimetres Wednesday through Friday, maybe more. The Fitzroy River catchment is particularly vulnerable. It's a massive catchment, and when the rain falls across the headwaters, it takes time to make its way downstream. Rockhampton could see moderate to major flooding by the weekend if the rainfall totals come in at the higher end of the range. This isn't guaranteed, but it's a realistic scenario you need to be aware of. Southeast Queensland, here S, where the uncertainty increases. Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast. You've been watching the clouds build and dissipate without much rain. That's frustrating when you need it. Whether you get significant rainfall from this system depends on the track of the tropical low. If it stays offshore and drifts north, you will see scattered showers and thunderstorms, but nothing substantial. If it tracks further south than currently expected, you could see heavy falls. The model's Haven T converged on a single solution yet. What I can tell you is that severe thunderstorms are likely across southeast Queensland Wednesday afternoon and Thursday. Damaging wind gusts, large hail is possible, heavy rainfall in localised areas, the Gold Coast and northern New South Wales border region. You on the southern edge of this system's influence. Thunderstorm activity increases midweek. Some storms could be severe. The rain you get will be hit and miss. One suburb sees 50 millimetres, the next suburb sees 5. That is the nature of convective rainfall. For those in northern New South Wales, particularly around the northern rivers and mid-north coast, you're looking at shower and thunderstorm activity Wednesday through Friday. Not as persistent as what Queensland S getting, but enough to be beneficial if you've been dry. Coffs Harbour, you might see some decent rain Thursday into Friday. Worth keeping an eye on. Now, there's another element to this setup. Ex-tropical cyclone Koji, reports within the Australian media suggest it might regenerate. Take that with a grain of salt. Koji S remnants are way out in the Coral Sea. For it to come back as a tropical system, it would need very favourable conditions. Right now, the environment isn't supportive. Could that change? Possibly, but I'm not seeing strong signals in the models for Koji S return. What's more likely is that Koji S remnants merge with the monsoon trough and contribute moisture to the overall pattern. So indirectly, yes, it plays a role. But expecting a discrete tropical cyclone called Koji to reform and threaten the coast, I am sceptical. There's also mention of another low developing off Cape Moreton and possibly another low forming off the far north Queensland coast in addition to the main Coral Sea system. The atmosphere is active right now, multiple areas of low pressure, multiple thunderstorm clusters. That is the monsoon pattern at work. When you've got this much moisture and instability, lows spin up. Most of them don't amount to much. They drift around, produce some rain, then dissipate. The one we refocused on, the Coral Sea low, has the best chance of developing into something significant because of where it is positioned and the environmental conditions surrounding it. Let me talk about thunderstorms specifically, because even if the tropical low doesn't directly impact your area, severe thunderstorms are a major threat across eastern Queensland and northern New South Wales this week. The ingredients are all there. Moisture check, instability check, lift check, wind shear moderate. That combination produces severe thunderstorms. And we're not talking about isolated cells. We're talking about widespread thunderstorm activity. Wednesday afternoon and Thursday are the peak days. Across southeast Queensland, the Darling Downs, Wide Bay, thunderstorms will fire during the afternoon heating. Some will be severe. Damaging winds are the primary threat. Gusts up to 90 kilometres per hour are possible. That's enough to bring down tree branches, damage roofs, knock out power. Large hail is also on the table. Not everywhere, but where supercells develop, hail becomes a real risk. If you've got vehicles parked outside, consider moving them under cover Wednesday and Thursday, ARVOS. If you've got outdoor furniture, secure it. Heavy rainfall in short periods is another concern with these storms. 50 to 100 millimetres in an hour. Flash flooding becomes a problem very quickly when rainfall rates are that intense. Urban areas, particularly Brisbane and surrounding suburbs, are vulnerable. Drainage systems get overwhelmed. Roads flood. Underpasses become death traps. If you're re-driving and you encounter floodwater, do not attempt to cross. If it's flooded, forget it. That S, not just a slogan, it S, life-saving advice. You cannot judge the depth or the current strength by looking at the surface. Every year, people drown trying to drive through floodwater. Don T be one of them. For rural properties, particularly in central and north Queensland, livestock management becomes critical when heavy rain is forecast. If you've got low-lying paddocks that flood, move stock to higher ground before the rain arrives. Once flooding starts, it's too late. You can move cattle through floodwater safely. Check your dams and water storage. If they already near capacity, prepare for overflow. Have a plan for managing excess water. Pumps, drainage channels, whatever your setup requires. Sheds, machinery, hay bales. Anything that can be damaged by water should be moved or protected if possible. I know that S, easier said than done on a large property, but prioritise your most valuable assets. Now let's talk about the southern states briefly, because I know some of you down in Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania are watching this thinking, what about us? You are not getting this tropical moisture. A high pressure system is keeping you dry. In fact, you are dealing with the opposite problem. It's been dry. Too dry for some areas. The gardens are struggling. Dams are getting low. You are waiting for decent rain. Unfortunately, this system one to help you. It is too far north. What you need is a series of cold fronts to push through from the Southern Ocean. And that S not in the forecast for at least the next week. The high pressure system over the Bight is blocking those frontal systems from making progress. Melbourne, Adelaide, Hobart, you're re-looking at mostly clear skies and mild temperatures for the rest of the week. Pleasant weather if you're not worried about water supplies. But if you're a farmer in northern Victoria or South Australia, it's getting to be a concern. The Bureau is monitoring soil moisture levels and dam capacities across southern Australia. We're not in drought conditions yet, but another month without decent rain and conversations start shifting in that direction. Back to Queensland. Let's talk timing more specifically, because I know that S, what you want to know. When exactly does this hit? Today, Tuesday, scattered showers and thunderstorms continue across central Queensland. Far north Queensland sees persistent rain. Southeast Queensland, mostly cloudy with isolated showers. Nothing widespread yet. Tonight, overnight, Tuesday into Wednesday, thunderstorm activity increases across inland Queensland. The tropical low in the Coral Sea continues to organise. Wednesday, this is when things ramp up. Severe thunderstorms develop across southeast Queensland during the afternoon and evening, damaging winds, large hail possible. The tropical low drifts closer to the North Queensland coast. Heavy rain increases across coastal areas from Mackay north. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, the tropical low may make landfall. Exact location is still uncertain. Somewhere between Mackay and Townsville is most likely based on current modelling. When it comes ashore, very heavy rainfall begins. 200 millimetres plus over the following 48 hours. Thursday, severe thunderstorms continue across southeast Queensland. The tropical low, now over land, spreads heavy rain across north and central Queensland. Rivers begin to rise. Flood watches turn into flood warnings. Friday, the system weakens as it moves further inland, but the rain continues. Widespread falls of 50 to 100 millimetres across much of Queensland. Some areas that have been repeatedly hit by thunderstorms could see totals well over 300 millimetres for the week. Saturday and Sunday, the system finally dissipates. Rain eases to showers. The cleanup begins. That's the general timeline. But tropical systems are notoriously difficult to predict precisely. The track could shift. The intensity could be stronger or weaker than forecast. The timing could be earlier or later by 12 to 24 hours. That's why you need to stay updated with the latest information from the Bureau of Meteorology. Don T rely on a forecast from Monday to make decisions on Thursday. Check BOMS website, check their app, check their social media. They update regularly as new data becomes available. So for those in cyclone-prone areas, you know the drill. But for those further south who Don T deal with tropical systems regularly, let me outline what preparation looks like. First, secure your property. Anything that can become a projectile in strong winds needs to be tied down or brought inside. Outdoor furniture, trampolines, tools, children's toys. I've seen trampolines end up kilometres from where they started because someone didn't secure them before a storm. Clear your gutters. When heavy rain comes, blocked gutters cause water to overflow and damage your roof or walls. It's a simple job that can save you thousands in repairs. Stock up on essentials, not panic buying, just sensible preparation. Drinking water, non-perishable food, batteries, torches, a battery-powered radio, first aid kit, any medications you need. If the power goes out for a day or two, you want to be comfortable. Charge all your devices, phones, tablets, laptops, power banks. When the power goes, your phone is your connection to emergency information. Keep it charged. Fill your vehicle with fuel. If you need to evacuate, the last thing you want is to be searching for a petrol station that is open and has power. Know your evacuation routes. If you in a flood-prone area and evacuation orders are issued, don't delay. People die because they wait too long. They think they'll be fine. They think the water won to reach their house. And then it does, and it's too late to leave safely. Have important documents in waterproof bags. Insurance papers, identification, medical records, photos, things you can replace. Check on your neighbours. Elderly people, people living alone, people with disabilities, make sure they're re-prepared, make sure they've got someone checking on them. If you've got pets, have a plan for them too. Crate, lead, food, water. If you evacuate, they come with you. For those with livestock, I mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating. Move animals to high ground early. Have feed and water supplies ready in case access to paddocks is cut off by flooding. Check fences. Floodwater can damage or destroy fencing, and you don't want stock escaping onto roads. Now, fire danger. I know we're talking about rain and flooding, but there's still fire risk in some areas. Parts of Queensland that aren't getting this moisture are still dry. Total fire bans are in place in some districts. Don't light fires. Don't use equipment that can create sparks. The last thing we need is a bushfire starting when resources are stretched dealing with flooding elsewhere. Let's address something I've seen in comments and social media. People asking if this is another 1974, Cyclone Wanda, the Brisbane floods. No, this is not 1974. Wanda was a Category 1 cyclone that made landfall near Gladstone. But the real damage came from the rainfall it produced. Brisbane received over 300 millimetres in 36 hours. The Brisbane River peaked at 6.6 metres. 14 people died. Thousands of homes flooded. What we're re-looking at now is serious. It requires preparation and attention, but it's not tracking towards Brisbane in the same way Wanda did. The tropical low is more likely to impact areas further north, and even if it does track south, it's not forecast to be as intense or produce rainfall totals comparable to Wanda. That said, any tropical system bringing heavy rain to Queensland deserves respect. You've seen what flooding can do. The 2011 floods. Toowoomba, Brisbane, Ipswich. 35 people died. Billions in damage. The 2022 floods across southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales. 23 deaths. Communities devastated. This system has the potential to cause significant flooding in some areas. That S not fear-mongering. That S meteorological reality based on the forecast rainfall totals and the current state of rivers and catchments. But will it be catastrophic? Unlikely based on current modelling. Will some areas experience major flooding? Possibly. Will everyone in Queensland be affected? No. That is the nuance that gets lost in headlines. Weather impacts are local. Your experience depends on where you are, what the ground conditions are, how much rain falls in your specific location, whether you are near a river or in a low-lying area. Someone in Brisbane might get 20 millimetres and think, what was all the fuss about? Meanwhile, someone in Mackay gets 200 millimetres and deals with serious flooding. Both experiences are valid. Neither negates the forecast. For those asking about travel, is it safe to fly? Is it safe to drive? Flying, generally, the airports will operate unless conditions become severe. Airlines cancel flights if safety is compromised. Check with your airline before heading to the airport. Brisbane, Cairns, Townsville airports all have procedures for dealing with tropical weather. Someone asked specifically about flying from Brisbane to Port Vila tomorrow, Wednesday. Commercial airlines have sophisticated weather monitoring. They 1T fly if it's unsafe, but thunderstorms can cause delays. Be prepared for that possibility. Driving, that depends on where you're going and when. If you are planning to drive across central or North Queensland Wednesday through Friday, reconsider if possible. Flooded roads are a major risk. Road closures are likely. What's normally a 6-hour drive can turn into 12 hours or become impossible. If you must travel, check road conditions before you leave. Queensland Traffic has real-time updates. Don't rely on your GPS. It doesn't to know which roads are flooded. Never drive through floodwater. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You can judge the depth or current by looking at it. Road surfaces can be washed away underneath floodwater and you won't know until your car drops into a hole. Floodwater is stronger than you think. It doesn't take much to sweep a car away. Let's talk about what happens after the rain. Because the impacts don't end when the rain stops, flooding from this system, if it eventuates, will take days to peak in some river systems. The Fitzroy River, for example. Rainfall across the headwaters takes time to make its way downstream to Rockhampton. You could see blue skies in Rockhampton while the River S still rising because of rain that fell 2 or 3 days earlier upstream. That S when people get caught out. The weather's cleared, they think the danger S passed, and they drive into floodwater, that S still rising. Major river flood warnings remain in effect for days after the rain stops. Pay attention to them. Mosquitoes and other insects breed rapidly after heavy rain and flooding. Expect increased mosquito activity in the weeks following this event. Use repellent, cover up, empty any containers around your property that collect water to reduce breeding sites. Mold becomes a problem if your home is flooded or even just exposed to very high humidity for extended periods. Get things dried out as quickly as possible once it's safe to do so. Fans, dehumidifiers, open windows when conditions allow. Contaminated water is a serious health risk. If your property floods, assume all flood water is contaminated with sewage, chemicals and other pollutants. Don't let children play in it. Wash thoroughly if you come into contact with it. Boil water if there's any question about your drinking water supply. Mental health. Flooding is traumatic. Watching your home or property go underwater is devastating. Cleaning up is exhausting and demoralising. Check on your mates. Talk about how you're feeling. Don't try to tough it out alone. Services are available if you need support. Now, looking ahead beyond this immediate system, what does the rest of January and February look like? We're in the peak of cyclone season. November through April, with January and February typically the most active months. This tropical low probably one to be the last system we deal with. The Indian Ocean dipole is neutral. El Niño has decayed. We're retransitioning towards La Niña conditions, though it's not fully established yet. What that means practically is the monsoon trough is active, sea surface temperatures are warm, and the ingredients for tropical cyclone development are present. The Bureau S seasonal outlook suggests above average rainfall for northern and eastern Australia through autumn. That S a good news if you are a farmer who needs it. It's concerning if you are in a flood-prone area. The southern annular mode is in a positive phase, which tends to push weather systems further south than usual. That S why southern Australia has been relatively dry. That pattern looks to persist for at least the next few weeks. Medium range models are showing another potential system developing in the Coral Sea around the 23rd to 25th of January. Too far out for any certainty, but worth noting. If you are planning events or travel in late January, keep an eye on the forecasts. To wrap this up, significant weather event developing, tropical low in the Coral Sea, heavy rain, severe thunderstorms, flooding potential, particularly for central and North Queensland. Wednesday and Thursday are the peak days for severe thunderstorm activity across southeast Queensland. Thursday and Friday are when the tropical low likely makes landfall and produces the heaviest rainfall across north and central Queensland. River flooding develops later in the week and into the weekend as that rainfall works its way through the catchments. Check the Bureau of Meteorology regularly for updates. Prepare your property, look after your neighbours. Don't take unnecessary risks. This is serious weather, but if you re-prepared, if you stay informed, if you make smart decisions, you'll get through it safely. For those in areas not directly affected, you are still going to see shower and thunderstorm activity. It won't be extreme, but it'll be around. And for those down south waiting for rain, unfortunately, this system won't help you. Your turn will come when the pattern shifts and those southern ocean fronts start making progress again. That's the situation. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll